All right, my fellow agents, welcome back. It is I, X7, your host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. We are going to be reviewing the first full-length sound werewolf movie, The Werewolf of London, from, I want to say, 1936, which I should have looked at a little before here, but, 1935, year off. It'll be all right. It stars Henry Hull and Warner Oland, Lester Matthews, Spring Bright, I can't even say that, Byington, Valerie Hobson. It was directed by Stuart Walker. And it runs a whopping 75 minutes. It was released May 13th, 1935. The budget was almost $200,000. I don't know what it grossed, but we're going to talk about it. But before we get into that, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of Henry Hull. What do you think of his werewolf makeup? And what do you think of the movie? Just tell me in the comments. I love reading them. And having said all that, let's howl. Well, we start right off with the two stars. Both, well, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen a movie that's, 90 years old, then you deserve your spoilers. The two werewolves one the Werewolf of London and one the Werewolf of Japan. Yes, we'll talk about that. And they are in the Werewolf of London. There's everybody else. This is a Universal movie. Carl Laemmle did Frankenstein and Dracula, so they went to the werewolves next. Actually, they went to the Mummy and then him. And I don't know when they did the Invisible Man. That seems like it might have been a bit later. Be that as it may. Here's our cast. Dr. Glendon, who is Wilfred. Wilfred Glendon. So my introduction to this movie, aside from being in the monster movies, was Don Adams' Screen Test. Now, Don Adams played Maxwell Smart, Agent 86 of Get Smart. And then in the 70s, he did this syndicated show called Don Adams' Screen Test, where they bring people out of the audience to do certain scenes. And they did the end scene here. So I actually knew how the movie ended long before I saw the actual full movie. But they did the makeup and everything, and they did a great job. From what I remember, it's been 100 years since I've seen that. Be that as it may, we start out in Tibet. And they're there, and that's where Wilfred and his buddy, where's his buddy's name? Hugh Renwick, Wilfred's friend and assistant in Tibet. He's the comedy relief. There's a fair bit of comedy in here, which they knew would stifle, would let you get a release from the horror. So the Tibetans are speaking, I want to say they're speaking Cantonese, and Henry Hull is just mumbling something. So not that anyone in 1935 would know the difference between Tibetan and Cantonese, or Cantonese and Mandarin, or apparently Cantonese and mumbling, made up words. But they're looking for this rare flower, the Mariphasia. Anyway, I have the Blu-ray Universal set of the complete Werewolf Chronicles. I want to say it says the original ones, but the Wolfman and all his movies, She-Wolf of London and the Werewolf of London. She-Wolf only runs an hour, and I was disappointed the first time I saw it, but we'll get around to it. I think October is going to be a werewolf movie, except for a couple of things. Well, the last one anyway. So there they go. They're trying to find it. Some kind of invisible force is slowing them down, but I'm sure they just filmed this outside of Hollywood. I mean, even though maybe they just say where they filmed it. Setting. The time period, but he drives a 1933 Alvis Speed 20. It doesn't even say where it was shot, but I'm assuming it was, somewhere in Hollywood, because there's the flower, picks it, but look what's behind him. Dun, dun, dun. the werewolf, and that's all we see of the werewolf for about 50 minutes. Well, not quite, but he gets bit, he's bleeding, and you know what happens when you get bit by a werewolf. Apparently, there's more than one way to kill a werewolf in this movie, but this flower is the cure. That's how you can cure werewolfery, aka lycanthropy. So now we flash back to England, and it's this kind of Strickfaden equipment. I like the use of negative space here; it's quite well done, and so he's trying to figure out. He's got a little early remote, a television system that lets him know who's at his door. So if you think that doorbell cameras were a new thing, 1935, folks. And that's his wife, the long-suffering um, Lisa Glendon. It's Valerie Hobson there, and that's his. Oh wait, that's him. He's forgotten that he's had a dinner. And there's I don't know some. She's one of the dowager here, who's one of the comic reliefs. She's got her stupid little dog, and there's the Venus flytrap, and she's just astounded that it ate that poor fly. Which flies are vermin. I'm sorry. And then this guy, I think, is Lester Matthews as Paul Ames, Lisa's childhood boyfriend, who is still after Lisa, bigly. And Wilfred is not happy about that. I'm kind of surprised they didn't actually kill him. Now we meet Dr. Yogami, who was played by Warner Oland, who I want to say was a Charlie Chaplin. Yes, Honolulu, 16 films. He also was the first Dr. Fu Manchu, Henry Chang. He's Swedish American. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's 1935. That's what they did back then. So there this doofus is hitting on old Lisa. And chances are he probably got together with her at the end of the movie. Go figure. Spoiler alert if you don't know what's going to happen. So there's his assistant. Where's J.M. Kerrigan as Hawkins. So he's an Irish actor. And there's the flower, which is it's pretty well done. But he's simulating moonlight, so guess what happens? Fortunately, the flower cures werewolfery, but not lycanthropy. I just can't say that. Lycanthropy. More discussion. There's a lot of talk in this movie. And this woman wants to be introduced to the very interesting man, Dr. Yogami, of the University of Carpathia. What the hell? Jeez. He might not even be Japanese. But wherever Carpathia is, and I'm not looking it up. It is what it is. There's this gigantic book where he's studying, but somebody is stealing the blossoms of lycanthrophobia, transvection, but it's in English, even though this is not. So nice. I mean, that's what I just love the thought that there were these rare books that were huge and full of lore like that. I mean, they were probably written by mad Arabs or the Gregor Rusov, who wrote the Darkhold down. So must be used unless this rare flower is used. So you've got two werewolves on the loose, and one of them knows what to do. And Henry's tells his wife he loves her. The cat doesn't like him because he's a dog now. He's Canis lupus or lupus hominum, whatever you. But then he changes. So we finally, and we're like 40 minutes into the movie before we get the first change. And his werewolf makeup is not nearly as full as Lon Chaney Jr., who is also walking with the Queen. And his hair is still perfect right now. And it's still perfect. So if you don't think I'm going to be referencing The Werewolf of London by Warren Zevon, the late great Warren Zevon, you heard it already. But he finds out and he's still in a lot of command of his faculties as a werewolf. It's been plucked, and now he's all upset. But he manages to put on both his hat and his overcoat as he goes out. And yeah, she's not really singing the voices of spring because Miss Cucaracha is not there with him. I really should have put a picture of Curly in drag, but they're at a soiree, and They hear the wolf baying. There he is. There's really great shots in here. It's really their cinematographer did a great job of this, and he tries to kill the old bag. I mean, the old lady, but she sees him. But then this poor young lady of the night runs into him, and that's it. Goose Lane murder, horribly mangled. They don't even show you. So now this isn't a very scary movie at all. It is very slow. There's not a lot of werewolfery or lycanthropy in it. She's looking at the blossom, and old Yogami goes, "Get, just leave." And they're all trying to figure this out here at Scotland Yard. Oh, it's a moon lamp. They're having brunch. There's his. I don't think that's Hirsch, but it's his. You know, he reads about the Goose Lane murders. And off they go, and he's making excuses because he wants to lock himself up. These women are drinking straight gin, and here's your comedy once again. They're very funny. Another woman who has two gins pays like 2 shilling for it. So it was a staple. That was just a trope for early Universal movies to have the drinking women who got scared of whatever they saw, and no one would believe them. So this blonde is there at meeting the guard, and I don't know if he jumps over the fence because werewolves do have superhuman strength. The wolf doesn't even like him, but he lets him out so he can run away, and so he's still in command of a lot of his brains. But he's got to kill, and guess who he's going to kill? Well, he tries to kill her. Nice shot here of her seeing him in her compact, and he runs off. So he knows something's going on, but he's out. Uh-oh, it's gone. Guess who turns into a werewolf too? Moon lamp. Goes back to his ancestral home. I love the shot here. It just is beautiful. I'm sure that's a matte painting because he just did it on glass. There's his dog who still likes him, and they lock him up. And then his wife shows up with I'm after your woman, Paul, and he's professing his love. But guess who sees him? And yep. So it's also the full moon. There's 4 full moons in this movie, which is a little unusual. But when Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, the moon just followed him several days in a row from Europe over to follow to Port Lawrence. And we will get her. I'll probably do these in some kind of order, but I might get Werewolf of London out of the way so I don't have to kind of mess with it. But where are we here? So he's trying to kill his wife because the werewolf always kills the one he loves. This would later on show up in Frankenstein's Bloody Terror, where Valdemar Daninsky is after his wife or girlfriend, and she shoots him because only a silver bullet fired from the one who loves them. Spoiler alert, because for Frankenstein's Bloody Terror. But I do really like that movie. He made a lot of them. So they fight. He actually clocks the werewolf, which is a little unusual. Off they go. So he's found that. So they know that Yogami's a werewolf because they found the Maraphasia plant stems. He's been hiding away from the police. He wants it, and he's like, "Oh, I can cure myself." But Yogami takes it, and he's dumb enough to do it on the full moon, and so Wilfred kills him. Wolfman Wilfred just kills him dead, and he kind of deserves it for being an ass. So, but you could tell that it's his face is not nearly as covered in fur as Lon Chaney Jr.'s was. But it's effective to a degree. I think both of these movies had a big influence on Werewolf by Night. Ooh, guess what? We'll be reviewing some of those issues in October. Just thought of that. I'm a genius. You can tell me. Tell me in the comments if I'm a genius. Not you, Lilith. So, yep, there you go. And he does look. I'm sure that's a stuntman, but this is the most action we see. He still tries to kill him. And then he goes after his wife there, Lisa. But he does this the way he acts. Henry Hall is really a good actor. He's really, because he paces and he crouches, so he's trying to be a bit animalistic. Then he gets shot, and we don't know if it's a silver bullet. Yeah. So, but he thanks Forsyth for killing him, who is the Colonel Sir Thomas Forsyth, um, the chief of Scotland Yard, kills him. He thanks him, and then of course we see him turn back into to Wilfred, and he says, "I'll tell him he died protecting you." So but that was it. This is one of the only werewolves that has never come back, and that's the end of the movie. So I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's the best werewolf movie. It's very atmospheric, but it's very, very slow. They did a much better job in 1941's, The Wolfman, which we'll get to. But a good cast is worth repeating. I like stuff like this. They don't do that anymore. And there we have. So guess what's on tomorrow? We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, my fellow agents, let's pull up a little more of this. Let's just go back here. And so I don't have to, hopefully this won't be enough to stop YouTube. But until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out under the full moon.
Is the only specimen of the Mariphasa plant in England. That flower is the only known antidote for werewolfery.
A very interesting folk tale, but of no value to the police.
I warn you, sir, unless you secure this plant, there'll be an epidemic that will turn London into a shambles.
When my experiments are completed, I will show their results to the entire world, not before.
Remember this, Dr. Glendon. The werewolf instinctively seeks to kill the thing it loves best.
You brought this on me that night in Tibet. Sorry I can't share this with you.